So in 2024, I got a total of 27 platinum trophies. So as we are approaching 2025, I thought this would be a great time to look back at all the platinum videos I've done in 2024 and rank 10 of them, with 5 being in the worst category and 5 being in the best category. So in this video, I will be ranking my top 5 best and worst platinums that I've got this year. So in 2024, I did platinum videos on these games right here that you can see on the screen now. However, like I said, I would only have to pick 10 of these videos and rank them in the best and worst categories. So when ranking them, I went off 2 reasons as to why these games and their platinums would be in their certain place on the best and worst list. The first one being enjoyment, so being how much fun I had on the platinum or how much fun I didn't have, etc. And the second one being difficulty, so being how easy or difficult the platinum was to get and just how challenging the game was as a whole in a good or bad way. But with all that out of the way, let's get straight into the video. So in my opinion, I feel like it's only best to start this video off by going through the top 5 worst platinums I've got this year. And when putting this list together, there was a lot more games that I enjoyed overall, as when putting this list together, there was only 6 games that would be on the worst category, and some of these games were actually quite sad and painful to put on this list, as I really wanted to enjoy some of these games. But I've got to be honest with you guys and also myself as well. But coming in at the number 5 spot on the worst category goes to the Expanse. Now I'll be honest, this number 5 spot was tough because it was between this game and the Vanquish Platinum I got, and even though Vanquish's Platinum was a lot more challenging and all round caused me more pain, it was still way more enjoyable than the Expanse was, which is why the Expanse takes the number 5 spot. Now like I said, this platinum wasn't hard at all, as Telltale games usually aren't hard, as you just play through the story and that's literally it to get the platinum. But this game had a few miscellaneous and collectible trophies as well, which I didn't mind at all. But I titled this video that the platinum was a bit underwhelming, and that's because in my opinion this was the most boring and dullest Telltale game I've played. I don't know if it's because I had high expectations, as I've played a lot of Telltale games in the past and loved all of them, but this platinum was overall quite boring, and it was also certain aspects of the gameplay that I actually despised. As specifically for the quick time events, I was so disappointed how they were only like 3 buttons you had to press, and the time window to actually successfully press the button was so big, it just didn't make the QTEs fun at all, and it just made it almost impossible to fail QTE. Like to fail one, you would literally have to have the reaction time of a snail, or just simply fail it on purpose. But yeah, even though this platinum wasn't hard at all, it has to be in the worst category at this spot because of how much of a letdown it was in my opinion. But coming in at the number 4 spot is Mortal Kombat 1. Now I hate to put this game in the worst category because I have always loved playing the Mortal Kombat games, and even though I'm not that good at the games, I still just love playing the story for these games and doing all the towers as well. And that was no different with this game, as I absolutely loved this game's story and doing all the towers and even getting the online trophies. Like, I just had so much fun with this game, until I got to the Invasions mode. And this mode alone is why this game makes the list for the top 5 worst platinums of this year. Now this is obviously on the low end of this list because, like I said, this game was overall a lot of fun, but Invasions mode honestly just ruined this whole experience for me. I mean, first of all, it was extremely repetitive and in my opinion almost came across as if I was playing a mobile game, which I don't personally like when it comes to console games. But the main problem is for maybe 2 months or so, this platinum was unobtainable for me at the time. So because of this, I had to wait for this Titan battle to be able to get a trophy I needed, which was to beat a Titan. But the issue here was that there was no date or guarantee of when or if this Titan battle would actually come out. So not only did that stress me out, but I also spent 14 hours of my life having to fully rank up 5 cameos, which was a nightmare because I couldn't find a way to get extra XP. And then when I finally did, it took 14 hours of my life away by just having to fight the same 3 people and then just repeat the process. And because of this, I believe this was overall the longest platinum I got this year, as it took me like 80 hours to get. And I titled this video saying that this platinum almost made me quit because of how mentally draining this platinum was. So yes, even though the story, the towers, the gameplay, and even the multiplayer trophies were all a lot of fun, the fact how this Invasions mode was so bad, it just has to be on the worst category for that reason. But coming in at number 3, we have another grindy and repetitive platinum, only this is much worse than Mortal Kombat 1, hence why this is number 3. So the number 3 spot goes to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. This had very similar elements of Mortal Kombat 1, except the only difference was for most of the platinum for Mortal Kombat 1, it was actually a lot of fun, whereas I can't say the same for Suicide Squad, unfortunately. I mean, look, when it comes to the story, even though I didn't agree with a lot of things and thought that some things were quite stupid, I think that if this game wasn't set in the Arkhamverse, I do think this game would have been received a little better. Not by much, but a little better. Because the gameplay for me was actually quite enjoyable at times, but the fact how this game was set in the Arkhamverse is why the story is just not that good overall, as a lot of things just don't make sense, and it almost feels like a money grab from Rocksteady to just say this is set in the Arkhamverse to get their fanbase more excited and wanting to play the game. But that wasn't the main problem of this platinum, as for the next 25, maybe 30 hours of playing the game, I had to play the same missions over and over and over and over and over again. And after a while, it just got insanely boring because I was just doing the same thing on repeat for hours. And I'm the type of person that once I start working towards getting a platinum on a game, I will not stop till I get that platinum. But once completing the story, I played the same missions for about 2 hours before wanting to just stop playing, as it just got that boring and I still had like 20 hours to go. And it honestly just felt endless at times. So yeah, because of that, I have to put Suicide Squad at number 3. But now, coming in at number 2, is LEGO 2K Drive. This platinum was by far one of the most painful ones I got this year, hence why it's number 2, and it's all because of one trophy called 6K Drive, which was to drive 6,000 miles, aka 9,656 kilometers.
What?
This trophy alone is why this is going in the number 2 spot. I don't know who thought it was a good idea to get someone to drive 6,000 miles on this game for a trophy, but whoever's idea this was, I really hope you slip in the shower. As a game, this game was definitely unique and enjoyable at times, as it was just a typical driving game but Lego. Like, you do races, you do challenges and try and get gold medals, which some of them were quite challenging, and find collectibles, which on a side note, there were a lot of collectibles and definitely got a bit too much at times. But this trophy to drive 6,000 miles was truly an absolute joke. I had heard before starting this platinum that not many people have the platinum because of this trophy, as it's just that damn grueling, but I really didn't think it was going to take me as long as it did. This platinum took me around 75 hours to obtain, and I'm not even joking when I say that about 35 to 40 hours of that was me having to drive in a damn circle. I specifically remember me sitting down all day and just holding the R2 button with my finger and just moving the left stick to turn, and just doing that for just under a week for 8 to 10 hours a day. It was grueling and was by far one of the worst trophies I've ever gone for. I actually got so down about it that I actually got a bunch of elastic bands and put them around my controller so it would be pushing the R2 button down and would push the left stick to the right, and I would just do my own thing whilst that was happening on my TV screen. But because it took so much longer, I just resorted to just doing it myself, which was more painful, yes, but didn't take as long. But yeah, this platinum was disgusting and I don't recommend it to anyone, as it's just not worth your time, as even the collectibles and some of the challenges were a nightmare as well. And this is coming from someone who actually doesn't mind getting collectibles. Which leaves us to the number 1 spot of the worst platinum I've got in 2024. And I'm sure you guys are thinking, Josh, LEGO 2K Drive's platinum sounds absolutely disgusting, so what could possibly be worse than that? Well, my friends, the worst platinum I got in 2024, in my opinion, was GTA 3. Damn, I feel like a lot of people are going to dislike me for this one. Now, even though LEGO 2K Drive was a joke for platinum, at least with that game I didn't have to follow a guide in a very specific order to make it easier for myself. And as painful as the platinum was, at least I actually knew what I had to do when going for it. Whereas with GTA 3, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing for most of the platinum, and this was actually the first time ever I followed a guide exactly how it was shown for a game. And I am man enough to admit that following a guide exactly how it was shown was probably like 75% of the reason why I hated this platinum so much. I'm one of those people where if I play a game for the first time, I don't want to follow any guide or do or see anything that impacts my first experience with the game I'm playing. But the fact how the guide said that there are a lot of missable trophies to get, that if you don't go out of your way to get them at the start of the game, it'll make the platinum close to impossible unless you completely restart, just essentially scared me straight to follow the guide. But looking back at it, I should have just played the game as normal and then at worst just restarted and did it all over again, even if it did take me longer to do. But to be completely honest, I think even if I did that, I wouldn't have enjoyed this platinum anyway, as I just didn't enjoy the story or the gameplay very much, as the driving was just very difficult to control and the shooting just felt very stiff, just to name a few examples. But the side missions I had to do were also just very annoying. For example, the ambulance mission where I had to pick up and drop off 12 civilians without failing, all the stunt jumps, all the collectibles, etc. Like, all of it was just so painful, and I specifically remember being so stressed out and really not enjoying this platinum. And out of all the videos I've done, This was by far the most stressful and painful one I went through because every time I felt like I was one step closer to the platinum, something else would happen or I would have to complete something else, which wasn't fun to complete. And yeah, I just didn't know what I was doing for almost the 40 plus hours when playing, and the fact how the gameplay wasn't the best, I didn't understand the story, and the main thing being that I chose to stress myself out by following a guide exactly how it was shown, just ruined this whole experience for me. Don't get me wrong, there were a couple good things about this game. Like, I'm not going to completely slate this game and, like, you know, say that it was completely bad and stuff like that, but overall this just was not a fun experience. Even though I still think I wouldn't have enjoyed the game, I do wish that I just played the game naturally first, as it might have been a bit more enjoyable that way. But yeah, unfortunately GTA 3 takes the place for my worst platinum I got in 2024. So that is the top 5 worst platinums I got this year, and when making this video I was constantly changing my mind between having LEGO 2K Drive and GTA 3 swap places, and the same for Mortal Kombat 1 and Suicide Squad, but this is my final decision on where to rank these platinums, and I'm sticking with it, damn it! But now, it's time to go into the second half of this video on a more positive note and rank my top 5 best platinums I got in 2024. Now this was probably easier to rank because I had more options as I enjoyed like 80% of the platinums I got. However, that led to me having way more options to choose from. And because of that, I had 6 platinums that I wanted to include on this list. However, because it's a top 5 list, I had to choose between these 2 games. However, that doesn't stop me from doing an honourable mention to a platinum that I really enjoyed this year but just couldn't make it to the top 5 list. And that game is Dead Space. I just wanted to quickly give this game an honourable mention because this game as a whole to me was absolutely fantastic. And even though this was on the longer and more grindy side of the platinums I've got this year, it still doesn't change the fact that this game was just incredible and in my opinion did everything it was supposed to do. Like the first time I played it, I was so nervous and on edge in a very good way, and I was just so invested in the game. But not just that, I also loved all the weapons that you get throughout the game and also just the different enemies that I would encounter throughout the game as well. Even though this game was challenging at times and also had a couple grindy moments, I still really enjoyed this game, and hopefully in the future I will be able to get platinum on the other 2 games, as once completing this first game, I was and am still itching to play the next 2. So yeah, even though this game didn't reach the top 5 list, I just had to give it an honourable mention because of how much I enjoyed the game. But now, it's time to actually get into the top 5 best games list, starting with number 5. And that number 5 spot goes to Evil West. Now, I got this as a Christmas present from my girlfriend last year, being in 2023, and then started going for the platinum, I want to say late January of this year, I think, and obviously got the platinum in February. And this was also the second video I uploaded in 2024 after Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, and I was interested in this game ever since I saw some gameplay on it a couple months before it released, and how it was a throwback to the Xbox 360 and PS3 days where games were more focused around a story and not really having any side missions to do. And that was what this game was. It was a good old-fashioned single-player story that had no side missions whatsoever. And even though I love games that have a story and side missions etc, sometimes in my opinion you can't go wrong with a good old-fashioned story-only game that only focuses on the story. I absolutely loved the format of this game, but I also loved the gameplay, as one thing I didn't expect was that this game felt very similar to the newer God of War games. Like honestly, when playing this game, it genuinely felt like I was playing as Kratos from God of War, but the cowboy version with different weapons. I even titled this video saying that the platinum gave me God of War vibes, and that's honestly because in terms of the gameplay and combat, it really did. And the guide said that this was a 7 out of 10 difficulty, and even though there were a couple challenging moments, in all honesty, it really wasn't that hard at all. So yeah, this game in my opinion definitely deserves to be on the list at the number 5 spot. But coming in at the number 4 spot is Until Dawn the remake. Now this one might be a little bit of bias because this game just so happens to be one of my favourite games, and not to mention it was also my best performed video this year, which I can't thank you guys enough for. But when I saw that there was a remake of Until Dawn coming out with apparently new cutscenes and new trophies etc, I was so hyped and excited to play the game all over again and re-get the platinum on this new version. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't slightly disappointed because there wasn't really anything new on this remake except for the prologue and better graphics. But that doesn't change the fact that I was just so happy that I had an excuse to replay one of my favourite games ever and also get the platinum for it. But also to do it during October made this experience 10 times better. And not to mention that I am a very nostalgic person, and this game is very nostalgic to me as I played it so many times with friends and my girlfriend a couple times as well in the past. So even though this wasn't a remake in my opinion, the fact how I got to experience this game all over again and re-get the platinum is enough for me to put this on my top 5 list. Now this game might be another game that I am slightly biased to for certain reasons which I'll get into in a moment, but coming in at the number 3 spot is The Last of Us Part 1. Now the reason this might be slightly biased is because this was actually my 100th platinum that I got. However, saying that, if my 100th platinum was a game that was pure butt cheeks, it probably wouldn't be making this list. But on a serious note, as many of you know, this game is by far one of the best, if not the best story game in many people's eyes. However, before getting this platinum, I had played the game once when I was younger, but back then I just couldn't get into the game and stopped playing after maybe the second or third mission. But playing it this time round, I honestly just loved every second of this platinum, from the amazing story to getting a few collectibles, and even doing the Left Behind DLC as well, which on the PS5 version was actually part of the main game, and obtaining the platinum. I loved how even on normal difficulty you still had to be very careful with your resources and ammo, etc, as if you ran out of ammo, obviously your chances of survival are very slim. So that small element let me enjoy the story but also use my brain a bit and actually be tactical with when to use my ammo, etc. And the reason I did this platinum trophy was because I put it on a poll for you guys to vote between 3 games of what you wanted me to get my 100th platinum on, and Last of Us obviously won the poll. So yeah, not only is this platinum a good one for me personally, with both how it's my 100th platinum, but also because of how good the game is. Like, the game is over 11 years old and is still getting remastered on current consoles and is still considered one of the best single player story games ever. And with all of that said, that is why this takes the number 3 spot. But coming in at number 2 was a game that, after playing it, made it to maybe my top 20 list of favourite games I've ever played, and that is Mafia the Definitive Edition. This game to me was genuinely a masterpiece. From the story to how the game looked to the music as well. Oh boy, the music was so good. The only negative I can give it is maybe the gameplay when it comes to shooting, because that wasn't my favourite. But besides from that, this game to me was a masterpiece. Before playing the game, I remember that for years I put off playing this game because I was just so sure I wasn't going to be into it, as I got told it was very similar to GTA in some ways and I could never get into a GTA game every time I played one. But since starting this YouTube channel, I told myself that I was going to do something I don't usually do, and that was to try to play new games and get platinum on them. And that's why I titled this video that the platinum was a pleasant surprise, because I heard so many different people say how this game is the best in the series, whereas some people said it was the worst, and some people also said that this game wasn't that good, whereas some people said that this game is fantastic. So when going into it, I didn't know what to expect, except I was more likely going to dislike the game than like it. And I'm the type of person where I don't listen to reviews, as I feel like everyone's opinions on something are different and people like different things. But I can confidently say that from beginning to end, I absolutely loved this game. My favourite part was obviously just experiencing the story for the first time, and just being fully invested with a lot of the characters in the game, and actually feeling emotionally invested with certain characters if something good or bad would happen to them. And I'm even man enough to admit that I may have teared up just a little bit when playing the story at times. It's okay to show emotion, people. And this game was so good in my opinion that I actually platinumed Mafia 2 because of it, and I actually titled that video saying it was just as good as Mafia 1. And even though I really enjoyed Mafia 2's platinum, and it's no disrespect to that game because it was amazing, but looking back at both these games, I feel like Mafia 1 is so much better than Mafia 2. But yeah, even though it was close between this and The Last of Us, I can confidently say that Mafia deserves the second spot on this list, as I think it's a masterpiece, or at the very least close to it. Which leaves us to the number 1 spot being the best platinum that I got in 2024. And honestly, out of all the amazing platinums I've got this year, none of them don't even come close to this one. So, coming in at number 1 is Astrobot. Honestly, this isn't even close. I think us PlayStation users have been extremely blessed, and dare I say spoiled a little bit, that we got Astrobot in 2024. I feel like every platinum that I got this year, there is at least one bad thing to say about all of them, even if they are very small things. But with Astrobot and its platinum, there is nothing, and I mean nothing, bad to say about this game and its platinum. I mean, for crying out loud, this game won Game of the Year, and for good reason. Which, on a side note, I actually called, by the way, as I titled this video saying that Astrobot is Game of the Year worthy. But when playing through this game and all the levels, there was not one level that felt like the same compared to others on this game. Like, every single level on this game was so different and unique from each other, and there was even like these obstacle course levels where some of them were challenging, but because they were so much fun to do, I really didn't mind failing and having to keep doing it. One thing about this game I loved as well was the music. Oh damn, the music was so good. The soundtrack on this game is honestly incredible, and sometimes I'd actually be kind of sad that I would finish level, because not only did I love the level, but I also loved the music as well. And the collectibles were so unique, as you had to collect puzzle pieces, but you also had to collect these Astrobots where they were essentially an Astrobot of a certain gaming character, whether that would be Crash from Crash Bandicoot or Joel from The Last of Us or Ratchet from Ratchet & Clank, just to name a few. And not to mention that you also got to do character specific levels where you would play as that character, which were my favourite types of levels. But yeah, this game had everything, and I cannot say one bad word about it. And in my opinion, this is genuinely a 10 out of 10 game. Like this to me is a perfect game. This is the type of game where any age could sit down, play this game, and just enjoy every single second of it. If you're one of those people out there that don't like this game for whatever reason, you have no soul. This was one of those games where I finished all the levels and was sad that I finished it, and then I got the platinum and was sad I got the platinum because I didn't want the game to be over. So yeah, this without question is my favourite platinum I got this year, and it's not even close. So that brings us to the end of my top 5 best and worst platinums I got in 2024. Let me know in the comments whether you guys agree or disagree with my list, or whether you guys feel differently about these platinums if you have them already, as I'm genuinely curious to hear what you guys think about this list. This video will either be out on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, so I hope all you guys had a great Christmas and you all have a happy New Year. I've got some big games planned that I want to do in 2025 as platinum videos, like Star Wars Outlaws, Cyberpunk, and the other 2 Ezio Assassin's Creed games, just to name a few. So I hope you all are looking forward to those videos as much as I am looking forward to playing and getting platinum on them. But yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and make sure to give this video a like if you did, and make sure to also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and turn those notifications on so you don't miss future videos. It's been a good 2024 for me this year, as I am halfway to one of my milestones, which is 1,000 subscribers. So hopefully at some point in 2025 we can get to that point. And I'll also be doing another top 5 best and worst video, but on all the challenge videos I did in 2024. So make sure you guys keep an eye out for that one. So again, make sure to subscribe to the channel, as that would mean a lot. And take care. See you guys later.